We got Jacob Chansley, the Q Anon Shaman in the house. Freedom!
Your body's a computer and consciousness is Wi-Fi. It goes all the way down to like a microtubule level of brain processing beyond the neurons, levels below microscopic. The Vatican has a telescope called Lucifer. This is the most exciting time we could have picked to be alive, guys. We're literally alive for the apocalypse, and we're alive for heaven on earth. I've walked across the surface of the sun.
Wait a minute.
I've been, outside the galaxy before. So, and I know that sounds funny, but I've been there.
January 6th, we've all seen how the media portrayed what happened on that day. I want to hear from your perspective. They made you the face of it.
Yes, they did. I've actually done a lot of research on this, and I can break this down in about 2.5, 3 minutes if you give me a chance.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Trigger words mixed with trigger images to create an instinctual response in the subconscious brain. If there's not federal agents inside a crowd of 1 million people in Washington, D.C., then the government's not doing their job.
Right.
So that's where they decided to use yours truly to create their psyop. The shock and awe campaign needed glue, you see, and they made me the glue.
How did you get arrested?
My mom told me the FBI is looking for you. Did you know that? I said no.
So they didn't raid your house or anything?
No, I turned myself in because I knew that's what they would do.
Why did they throw you in solitary confinement, though?
They said it was for COVID at first, and then they said it was for my safety because I was a high-profile case. 2 weeks of solitary. After that, it's considered torture. There was a cancel culture on the right, too. And you know how I know? Because I've experienced it.
How does Israel tie into that?
Well, okay, if you want to go there, we can go there. I'm actually glad you brought that up.
we can just step around it gingerly.
No, let's talk about it.
Yeah, welcome to episode 50. We got Jacob Chansley, the Q Anon Shaman in the house.
What's up, brother?
So glad to be here.
Nice
Thank you for having me,
Nice to meet you, bro. Nice to meet you. Yeah, where you flying from?
From Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix is nice. It's like Vegas, but cleaner.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah, a lot better.
I'm just saying, there's that sin on every corner in the same way.
Yeah.
But, actually, that's not true because Phoenix is like #1, I think, in the nation for child and human trafficking.
No shit.
Yeah. So close to
Really?
the border, big border. Yeah. Phoenix is so corrupt.
What drew me to Vegas was no state taxes.
Oh,
So it's an
really?
instant pay raise for me, yeah.
Yeah, but the weed out here is like, oh my God, expensive. Dude, oh my God, expensive. I was like, how much for an eighth?
Right.
How much for a joint? $20? What? For a joint?
Right. Yeah, it's expensive out here. I usually do edibles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's so much better. It's so much healthier.
Right. Really? Why is that? Because you're
not smoking.
Smoking stuff. I thought the marijuana was good for your lungs.
Well, you know what? Actually, it's not carcinogenic, though. So it's not like tobacco.
Right.
Or like, fuel exhaust or something.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I try to avoid smoke. I just eat edibles.
Well, what's interesting about cannabis, though, is actually it was written about. It was a part of the 4 plants that was used in the holy anointing oil of Moses in the Bible. But one of the ingredients got mistranslated, and that was the one that was actually supposed to be for cannabis. Keep in mind, Moses was raised alongside the Pharaoh's son. Okay?
Right.
So, Moses knew all the ancient Egyptian secrets.
Yeah. That's crazy how many people's in prison for smoking weed.
Oh, I know.
It's so crazy.
Well, and what's really crazy about it is the idea that all these states have already pretty much said, there's medical use, but the government still hasn't moved it from a Schedule 1, which means there's no medical use, to a Schedule 2 or 3. Dude, you guys, things like opioids and methamphetamines are on Schedule 2.
Right.
Okay, cocaine is on Schedule 2.
Right.
The most destructive drugs are peddled in every street corner, and that is alcohol and cigarettes.
Right.
Well, why is the cannabis not federally legal? Well, here's the answer.
Republicans?
Well, yes, partially, yes. Actually, uptight religious Republicans that think, and it's like, dude, what did God say? I give you every green plant and herb to use. Right? Cannabis has very real healing properties and industrial uses as well.
Right.
And if we're not using it, and it's like it could be like a staple for our civilization, then we're fools.
Right. It's great for anxiety and inflammation.
Well, yeah, and all disease is usually triggered by inflammation.
Right. I've never really smoked weed.
No?
My mom, since we were kids, she's like, every day, don't do drugs. Look at,
I'm not gonna say you don't want to be like them. Don't do drugs.
So I was scared it was gonna be a gateway to something like
Jacob, my mom used to wake me up 3 o'clock in the morning. You didn't do drugs, did you? Are you a homosexual? Your daddy thinks you're a homosexual.
Oh my God.
Because you got green eyes, and everybody knows black people with green eyes are homosexual.
Oh my God, dude. My dad used to wake me up at 3 in the morning and say, "It's time to fucking wash walls." Yeah, my dad would get drunk and he'd wake us up. That happened more than once. We used to have company over, like spending the night, and he'd like wake us up and be like, "It's time to wash walls."
It builds discipline, man.
And then he would go to sleep.
He was Mr. Miyagi, huh?
Yeah, dude, for real.
Hey, what does it feel like smoking weed?
Well, it feels really good.
Yeah.
And I would recommend it for people that want to feel really good.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. It's kind of like, if you get really, really high, it's an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
It really is, you know, and that's why I don't recommend it to just anybody. It's like if you're ready and it finds you, then okay. But one of the things in shamanism is there's something called plant spirits or plant teachers. Okay, so
There's
like,
a such thing as shamanism?
what's that? Shamanism?
Yeah,
that's what I practice. That's why they call
Okay.
me the Q Anon Shaman.
Okay, what's a shaman?
Shaman is a Siberian term or a Mongolian term. It just means the one who knows.
Okay.
So it could be a man or a woman. And the one who knows what? Well, the one who knows the history, the songs, the plants that heal.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying? The one who knows the myths, the legends.
Right.
So y'all believe in equality?
Well, yeah, dude, every single indigenous population across the planet practices shamanism. And in one way or another, every single religion on the practice is a form of shamanism because it's the first religion.
Really?
Yes. Medicine man, medicine woman.
Oh, okay.
Right? That's shaman.
I heard that
All
before.
right, witch doctor, right?
Okay.
Okay. So it's the first religion. And I totally forgot why we started talking about this. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the idea here is that in shamanism, when you take these plants, you commune with the plant teacher. Okay. There is a entity or a being inside the plant that you can communicate with and will relay knowledge. Okay. Now that is the same entity that it can also make the buzz hell, you know, or give you a bad trip. Right. You know what I'm saying? But usually even that is a teacher. And what's interesting is I've talked to people that have had quote unquote bad trips and they got their fucking lives together.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what is your goal of using the thing? It's a tool. Just like a gun can be used to protect people or harm people. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a tool. And shamans are like consciousness engineers that know how to use these tools.
What are these tools? What, they're plants? We know one of them is weed, right?
Yes, cannabis, fungi like psilocybin mushrooms, peyote, cactus, ayahuasca. That's two plants. It's a vine and a leaf. And then there's ibogaine. I think that's a root. Then there's other things like have you guys ever tried salvia extract?
What's that?
Oh my God. You guys, you got to try salvia extract and record it, please.
Is it like stevia?
No, dude. No. It's like, I'll put it this way. I've seen people totally forget that they've done it and start acting like they're a 2-year-old, like
really?
drooling all over the place. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We started taking mushrooms, right? Psilocybin and stuff, right? And then the lady that gave it to us, it was out of Colorado,
What's
right?
the lady? Don't confirm the gender.
What is it? It's not illegal, right?
I don't think
Well,
so.
if you're in Oregon, it's not, or Washington, but it
That's where I
is
get it
federally
from.
illegal. That's one of the things RFK is working on is kind of paving the way so that, in particular, veterans can use it to heal.
Right. Okay. Well, we used it when we was in Colorado. It's legal there, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, we was in Colorado just to take it. And she told me when you take it, just take a drop. So Kevin's like, here, I'm going to give you a drop.
That wasn't mushrooms, though. It was
That was LSD.
LSD.
That's LSD.
Right. Yeah, that's legal in Colorado, right?
What?
It's not legal?
I hope so.
Hey, Keith,
I'm just kidding.
We didn't take LSD.
it was like an imitation of LSD.
Yeah.
So we was like going to take it. So Kevin, he said, lift your tongue up, and he put a couple of drops of this fake LSD up under my tongue. But it was only supposed to be a drop. He said, oops, I put a little bit too much. I said, how much? He said, I think you got like 2 or 3.
Oh.
Yeah. That's like, okay, well, I don't feel nothing. So I put a drop up under his tongue. Yeah. And then, I would say,
oh, you gave me more than 1 drop. Because I gave you 3, so you gave me 3.
Well, I don't know how many you give me, cause that fake LSD you put up on my tongue, dude. I was running. I could not sit still.
Okay, yeah, the LSD can do that
And
for sure.
Dude, I was just laying in bed trying to go to sleep. I just wanted to get up and just run through a wall.
Yeah, there's no going to sleep, bro. There's no going to sleep.
Yeah, I don't think I gave you 3 drugs. I think I gave you like 7 or 8.
Yeah, good thing we did this in Colorado. And it was
You're
fake
lucky
LSD.
you're lucky it was good. I'll put it this way. Many years ago, I did LSD, what I thought was LSD 8 times. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I can handle this. I like this, you know? Right. And then I thought it was the same stuff. I was doing blotter. You know, blotter acid. So it was just.
I never heard of that.
It's white paper. It's like paper that absorbs the LSD.
Oh, okay,
so like you can have different like images and stuff, you know, and different names for it, etc. But we thought we were getting the same stuff. No, it was not the same stuff. The other stuff was like mild stuff that was made by an amateur. The other stuff that we got, this new stuff that we didn't know, we thought it was the same, was made by Grateful Dead heads from San Francisco. People that really knew what they were doing, and they quadruple dipped the blotter. So that means that one hit is technically 4.
Oh, man.
And it's really powerful LSD, like really potent stuff. And so thinking that it was the same other stuff, I took 2. You know, buddy of mine took 3. Another buddy took 4. And we're all thinking it's the same stuff. Oh, no. Within the first 45 minutes, I was tripping harder than I'd ever tripped in the previous 8 trips combined. I was like, what did I do? What did I take? My brain felt like somebody spilled an energy drink on the circuitry of my mind and was like sparking everywhere. And like the world was made of layers of like digital Legos.
Right. You know what's weird
Crazy.
about that? Like I've been on caffeine, you're jittery. The energy is similar, but I crashed really hard on caffeine. I didn't crash on that fake LSD I took in Colorado.
Well, no, because one affects the central nervous system one way and another one another. I mean, the LSD, you guys, like it affects your body on a microgram level. Okay, that's like fentanyl, essentially potency. Fentanyl is measured on micrograms, right? So something like the size of a grain of salt could kill you. Right? With LSD, it isn't going to kill you. You're just going to trip out like hardcore.
I got a lot done that day. I cleaned my whole house.
I bet you did.
And I got a big ass house.
It's you know that stuff. It's like illegal a lot of places, but it has so many health benefits for your brain. It can like I was looking at like a lot of podcasts and like very reputable people say it could rewire your brain.
What, LSD?
Yeah, LSD.
Well, psychedelics in general. So
stuff.
let's talk about that because we're sitting here talking about the funny elements too, but let's talk about the medical applications because that's actually what shamans have been using it for thousands of years, okay? Somebody will come to them and they're really depressed. They don't know what to do with their lives, right? Or they just lost a loved one or whatever, right? And the shaman will say, okay, well, you know, they'll have the person go through like, you know, a couple of days of fasting or something, you know, something like that. And then they'll give them the medicine, they'll guide them through it. And the idea here is that in particular, let's say depression or anxiety, what we're talking about is cyclical neurological patterns that are just continuously on repeat. And you keep somebody locked into a certain brain pattern, therefore a certain pattern of behavior. Right? Therefore, certain neurochemicals are being produced based on that brain pattern repeating over and over and over again, right? So this is how people get in deeper and deeper states of depression or higher and higher levels of anxiety. So what the LSD, or in particular, let's just talk psilocybin because it's much safer to use psilocybin, which is the mushroom. What mushrooms do is they actually cause all of the neurons in the brain to start connecting to each other. So it creates hyperconnectivity in the neurons in the brain. So that means that pattern, that cyclical pattern gets disrupted. You see, and now there's more information being processed through the brain. And that more information is allowing for new neurological relationships to develop. And then when you come down, that old pattern is gone and you have this like almost like this new identity. You see? And so what the other pharmaceutical drugs that treat depression or anxiety do is they lock the brain in that chemical state. They lock the brain in that neurological pattern. You see?
You get dependent on the drug.
Well, yes, and also the serotonin. The serotonin is not. What's happening with the psychedelics is they are perturbing brain chemistry. Okay, what that means is that, for example, with psilocybin, it blocks the serotonin 2 pathway in the brain, which basically means that if serotonin goes down Main Street normally, well, now psilocybin is blocking that traffic. So now serotonin has to go down First Street or Second Street
Has
or
to build
whatever.
new pathways.
Yes. And that process is causing the serotonin to build up, and then dump all at once. And then build up and build up and build up and dump all at once. And that's the trip. And so the more psilocybin you take, then the longer that stuff stays in your brain, the longer it's clogged, the longer your trip.
Okay.
Does all that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, the highest we got was 200 micrograms.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. Well, with
not
LSD or with psilocybin?
Psilocybin.
Okay, yeah,
with
that's micrograms, is 200 micrograms, that's nothing.
Yeah, but it was, I know. That's what everybody tells me. But that was fake LSD. It wasn't real stuff.
I'm very sensitive to stimulants, so I can't take much. I know people like I came across a video with
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson said he took 8 grams of mushrooms,
Good for him.
and he said he saw his DNA.
Yes. Yes, I've been there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, I've done DMT.
I haven't did DMT.
Oh, dude. Like, I mean, talk about stories, bro. You guys want to hear a fucking crazy
Hell
story?
yeah.
You guys want to hear a crazy story? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was coming down from 7 grams of mushrooms, right? And I had some DMT. This was, I think, in 2016.
Remember the year and everything.
Yeah. Fucking A. When I tell you what happened to
It
me.
was 2016, 6:23
Dude,
a.m.
for real,
33
bro.
seconds.
For real. So I'm coming down from the mushrooms. It was a beautiful experience, and I had the DMT, and instead of smoking it through a pipe, I did it through a bong so I could just take one massive rip and then just lay down. I put earplugs in. I close my eyes. I do the shamanic journey thing, you know. I close my eyes and I go there. So I take the hit, close my eyes, have the earplugs in. I lay down on my bed. I put my hands on my chest like this, and I'm holding the hit. And as I'm holding a hit, there's this sound. There's and as that sound is getting more and more and more intense, I'm seeing like this maze that is made of these orange blocks, rectangular orange blocks, and these large yellow pyramids with these massive white discs on top of them. And this thing is like descending on top of me. And it's like there's this and then I'm in the fucking maze. And like there's orange blocks around me, there's the pyramid, like I'm in the maze, you know, but then out around one of the corners comes this like jester made of light. He's got like the hat and everything, the little swirly shoes, you know, he's made of light, and he has, you know, those Japanese fans that you can like unfold.
Right, yeah.
Right? He has one of those, except he unfolds it, and then at the end of each of the fans, another Japanese fan unfolds. And then it keeps going and going. At the end of all the Japanese fans, like 12 deep. And then they all collapse on each other. And then the guy looks at me and then runs away.
That's
and
crazy.
I'm like, what is this?
Right.
You know, like, how is this enlightening, and why is this happening to me? You know, so then another dude, similar jester look, made of light, similar look, but different colors, different vibe, you know, comes up, and except this time he has like a octagon, or was it called an octahedron? It's like an octagon, like on all sides, like 3-dimensional octagon. An octahedron, except inside is a bunch of octahedrons, and outside on all the layers is a bunch of octahedrons. It's like a fractal, you know, and then they all collapse on itself, and he runs away.
Is that the DMT elf?
Yes,
I heard people call them
the
elf.
DMT elves. Yes, exactly. Or the jesters or the clowns. I've seen them all.
But everybody takes that, they see the exact same thing. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, well, dude, believe me, it gets crazier. So, long story short, the next guy's about to come up. I'm like, if this guy does the same thing, I'm going to stop what he's doing and I'm going to talk to this motherfucker, you know, because this is some crazy shit. How is this enlightening?
Right.
Why are you showing me this? Like, why?
Yeah.
What is this?
Right.
So dude comes up, tries to do his thing. And so like, remember, my hands are on my chest like this, right? But in this space, my hands are free. So I go up to this dude in his little cloud of stuff, and I just like block it all out, and I go, no, I want to talk to you. What is this place? Who are you? Why are you doing this? Like, how is this enlightening? You know?
Questions.
Yeah, damn straight.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and he looks at me like, what the hell, bro? And then he runs away, and I'm like, son of a bitch. You know? And then another dude comes up, jester looking, you know, same thing, and he tries to do his thing, and once again, I go up and I block it all. I'm like, no, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why? You know, same questions. And the guy's like, what the hell? He runs away. And I said, son of a bitch. So I chase after him. Right? And I tackle him. And he's like my size, you know? And then all of a sudden, somehow, some way, he shrinks down to being the size of like a little elf in my hand. And I'm like, what is this place? Why are you doing all of this? And I guess I squeezed too hard or something, because like there was this sound. and like
killed
his
an elf?
neck exploded to the side and his feet exploded out from underneath.
Yeah.
And like I like killed him, and I was like, oh my God, I killed this little elf thing. Oh my God. And then out of his neck, out of this like this decapitated little elf and these feet comes these balls of light. And then they coalesce into a little ball. And then like a child, like, hee. And then it like scurries away, goes back into the maze. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I open my eyes, my hands are on my chest. I look around my room. My whole room is just like doing this. Right. You know, everything, the walls are dripping and stuff. The ceiling is breathing. And I'm like, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. You know, and so I close my eyes and I'm taking big, deep breaths. And as I take a big, deep breath, it's almost like my consciousness is like expanding to the point where it's going to pop like a balloon. And then as I breathe out, it's like it shrinks. It's like, you know, and I take a big breath and it's like I'm gonna pop and then, you know, and I'm like, what is this? What's going on?
Yeah.
And then the vibe I got was that if I smoked more DMT, I'd pop back into that dimension that I was just in. And I haven't done anything like that ever again. Once is enough.
Yeah, I got a lot of friends who've done it. He said, man, you need to do it, man. It made me a better person. It got rid of, it was like a clean slate.
Yes. Yes. Well, my experience was after many, many, many others. One of the things that you get with this stuff is that the plant teachers, whatever you want to call them, angels, whatever, you know, they know you better than you know yourself. It's crazy, you know, and they can help you to be a better person. And the whole point of these things is not to take them over and over and over again. Like, good luck getting addicted to them.
Right.
The whole point is to take them once or twice, get what you need out of them, and be a better person.
Right. Yeah. One guy was telling me, he said, I talked to dead relatives and I confronted my biggest fears. And he said, like, every time he did it, he had to overcome a certain obstacle, whether it was having a conversation he wanted to have with his family member that passed away that he never did, or something that his biggest fear. He said it's like starting all over again and tackling your biggest fears and just cleaning your slate and starting all over in life.
Yes.
So it gets really deep. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it is like a spiritual shower. Most people don't have very good spiritual hygiene. They hold on to regret or, you know, anger, you know, they hold on to hatred, you know, or they hold on to, you know, embarrassment or shame or guilt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And especially when you look into certain like woke societies or even extremely religious societies, a lot of shame and guilt and hate is in there.
And that when you take those drugs, it like flushes all that stuff that was in your brain away.
Well, because it's disrupting the neurological pattern. Okay.
That kept it in place.
Correct.
That trauma. Yeah.
Yes. And then so what's interesting about that, though, is that not only is it breaking up or disrupting the neurological pattern, but what it's also doing is it's expanding the consciousness field. So we have an electromagnetic field that goes around our bodies. You guys are aware of this, right?
Right. Nope. Didn't know.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
You got an energy team.
Or an aura. Yeah. You know what an aura is, right? That's the electromagnetic field that surrounds the body. And the center of it is right here. It's in the heart. Okay, so the heart is actually the most powerful electromagnetic spot in the body. It's the most powerful electromagnetic pulse in the body. So the human organism is like an antenna for consciousness. Like you were saying, Jordan Peterson saw his DNA you know, your DNA is antenna for something that quantum physicists call non-local consciousness. So basically, it's like your body's a computer and consciousness is Wi-Fi.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and they're coming to find out that it goes all the way down to like a microtubule level of brain processing beyond the neurons on like levels below like microscopic. You know what I'm saying? As far as the processing capacity of the human brain and body. You know, and then so with psilocybin or these other plants, what you're doing is you're expanding that consciousness field and you're allowing more energy to come through the body and the neurological network. You see? So when you're hallucinating, it's not so much that you're seeing something that isn't there.
You're seeing what you can't see.
Correct. They're seeing what's always there, but you don't normally see, which is the reason why tribal societies have group hallucinations when they do this stuff, because they're actually seeing the electromagnetic patterns that make up our reality, but are normally invisible to our physical eyes.
So it heightens, it magnifies emotional intelligence.
Yes, and intuitive abilities, and as well as it's almost like it, like especially all depending on the dose you take with psilocybin or things like that, is it literally opens your third eye. So like your pineal gland is called pineal gland because it's shaped like a pine cone, right? But also because it can open like a pine cone. It has cones, it has rods, just like your eye does. But the electromagnetic frequencies that your third eye is responsible for interpreting is not the same as your eyes.
Right.
You see, so like you're actually able to detect things like beyond what your eyes can detect with your third eye. And this is where we get into shamans having an open third eye and being able to see demonic or angelic spirits in the ecosystem.
Where did you learn all this?
Experience.
Trial and error?
Well, experience and like research. So usually what would happen is that I would have an experience and then I had this intuitive download, this intuitive data that would come to me.
Right.
And then later I would find the data as I was doing research on other things and it would correlate with my experience. So now I have this experience that I can correlate the data to. And so I have this ability to store the data because it correlates with my life.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that movie, what was that movie, Slumdog Millionaire? Have you seen that? No?
No.
Well, it basically, he wins $1 million because he remembers, he gets all the questions right to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But only because all of the answers to all of the questions that he's asked are things that he remembers from traumas in his life.
Yeah.
So it's a really good movie.
I know the thing from my point of view when I was taking the stuff in Colorado, I'm way more productive.
Yes.
My analytical is through the roof. I can comprehend much more. I can do 3 times more.
You feel like you're energized, like you changed your batteries.
Yes. Well, keep in mind this as well. Most people's diets are so filled with soft metals, you know, petroleum-based products, even things like atrazine, aspartame, right? These things. So most people's minds are very dull and they're not using their full potential.
Right.
So I actually think the next stage of human evolution is not like artificial intelligence and transhumanism. That's stupid. That's extinction. The next level of human, the next level of human evolution is actually learning how to use the full capacity of the human brain and body.
Right.
That's the next stage.
Right. Yeah. I agree with you. It's like we're moving towards AI, and it's like we should be putting that much time and energy into our own consciousness, our own brains, our own bodies.
Yeah, Trump just gave 500 million, or was it 500 billion to? Not 500 billion, you freak.
500 billion?
500 million, probably.
Yeah, 500 million, billion. Who cares? It's a lot of money, right? Towards AI, you should be putting that towards being able to help people to use their brains better.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what's really interesting about all of this stuff, is that all of the data is already there. Okay. What has happened is that there are certain vested interests, financial vested interests in certain industries, because one industry is going to create repeat customers, another one isn't.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
You talking about the pharmaceutical company?
Well, no, not just that, but yeah, like think about what he's talking about with AI and the mRNA.
AI is going to make people a lot of money. You being smarter is not going to make those people richer.
Exactly.
It's going to make you richer.
Well, I mean, you cannot make tremendous profit off an enlightened individual because enlightened individuals don't need your bullshit.
Right.
They don't need this crap from China.
Right.
You know, and they don't believe that they deserve a meal at McDonald's either. You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Dude, I went to overseas, and when I ate McDonald's, it's totally different.
Yes.
Yeah. What country was we in?
We was in Amsterdam.
Amsterdam? Totally different.
You know what they call a quarter pounder of cheese in Amsterdam?
What?
A Royale with cheese.
Yeah,
I should have known that.
Come
one.
on, you walked
A
right into
Royale
it,
with
brother.
cheese.
Come on.
A Royale with cheese.
Oh man, I should have known that one.
Watched that movie many times. Hey, so we joined the military. We joined the Marine Corps when we was like 19. First
Semper
time
Fi, God bless you. Thank you for your service.
Thank
I'm
you.
a sailor.
Yeah, you were in the Navy. I was down in San Diego.
Oh, okay. I was in Yokosuka, Japan.
Oh shit! I wanted to go to Japan,
but they sent me to California.
The only reason why I joined is because I wanted to go to Japan because I just seen that movie, Full Metal Jacket. I want some long time action.
That's what, I want to be an Asian chick.
Dude, they love gentlemen like you over there.
Like
I'm
the
telling
brothers?
you. What's that?
They like the brothers.
They love the brothers over there, bro. I'm telling you. Like, seriously, like Japanese women. The thing is, something I never expected about Japanese women, they got like thick legs and like
Oh
big
yeah,
butts.
thick legs, thick calves.
Yes, very thick. Like they're very like hardy people. You know?
They can take it.
That's not what I was saying, but you know. Well, that rice.
Oh, so you were stationed there your entire tour? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was in Mississippi for A school. You know, but I was in.
That's like MOS training.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, God, that sucked. It was Meridian, Mississippi. It's like the middle of nowhere. In all honesty, now that I look back on it, I really wish I would have explored the forest more. Yeah. Like I was an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I was kind of scared. I didn't know. You know, it was an unfamiliar environment. You know.
Yeah, same way. You were just worrying about getting through the day instead of taking advantage of everything around you.
Right. You know, and I couldn't smoke weed. And I know that, you know, some people like would get over it. It's like, yeah, but like I would have had so much more fun if I could have smoked some weed, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I didn't like drinking. I don't like alcohol.
I don't get that because all the World War II movies and all the movies you see on TV when people go on deployments in war, they're all smoking weed.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Hollywood's full of shit, dude. So
yeah.
I mean, in Vietnam, though, that actually was a problem.
Right.
You know, heroin, too. Because there was a lot of opium.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, dude. And they were actually literally using dead service members' bodies to pack heroin in their bodies to transport it into this country. Did you guys know that? The Army was doing this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can look it up in that movie, American Gangster with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. Yeah, they're talking about, like, that's part of that whole operation.
Yeah, that's nothing I put past our government. Like I just saw that it was like on Netflix about Waco. I was like, Jesus Christ, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Our government actually sucks.
Well, the funny thing is, though, is that I think the American experiment worked, you know, because we were this far away from like total tyrannical, you know, rule, like similar to what the king had. You know, at the time of the founding fathers. And enough people were enough of the people in America had the American spirit in their heart and believed in the founding documents. You know what I'm saying? We all got together and God, I mean, divine providence. I don't know how much you guys know about the founding of our country. Are you familiar with the words divine providence? Yeah. So that's what I think we have.
Yeah. This past election validated that too.
Yes.
I was so scared. I was like, man, it's either going to make us or break us. If our country is smart, Trump should easily win that election.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and the thing is, dude, anybody that was really paying attention and was honest with themselves knew Kamala Harris didn't stand a chance. Knew Joe Biden didn't stand a chance. What it is that the media was pushing these BS poll numbers. So when I've talked to people from the media after the election, they've said like, so did you think Trump was going to be able to pull it off? I said, well, yeah, you know, like what, you thought Kamala Harris was going to win? You really thought that, you know? And they're like, well, that's what the polls were saying. And it's like, you fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, go believe your own bullshit, please, by all means.
I cannot believe how gullible people are.
Yeah.
Dude, there's people on the internet that believed when I was in prison that I was actually in Afghanistan fighting alongside the Taliban because I'm Antifa. Okay? Like this, there's people that believe that what happened on January 6th was done in front of a green screen. And I get harassed by these people on fucking X.
That's crazy.
Hey, you know, January 6th, okay, I want to go there because we've all seen how the media portrayed what happened on that day. I want to hear from your perspective, like the events throughout the day, how it unfolded.
Yeah. Not only that, but they made you the face of it.
Yes, they did. To their detriment, I think.
Yeah.
You know? So let's just start by saying that I think all hell broke loose, as far as I remember, after the police started shooting tear gas and concussion grenades into the crowd. That's when the riot started.
Yeah. You know what's crazy I find so fascinating about that? They was able to track down all these January 6ers, but no one ever arrested those or even spoke to those men that fired the grenades, the concussion grenades. And nobody even had to answer for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't want to think the worst. Yeah. But the whole thing smells like a setup.
Smells like a psyop.
Well, it was a deep state setup that turned into a deep state psyop. So if you want, I've actually done a lot of research on this, and I can break this down in about 2.5, 3 minutes if you give me a chance.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell changed the law 3 weeks before January 6th or so that revokes Chief Son's emergency powers to invoke the National Guard at will.
Yeah.
Okay, so they changed the law 3 weeks before J6 so that Chief Sund can't say, I want the National Guard here, and they have no say about it.
And Trump requested those soldiers.
Yes, well, I think that was even after they changed the law. So like there's all these attempts to try to get the National Guard there. Even though they revoked Chief Sund's emergency powers, what that means is that he has to submit paperwork to go to Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell to ask for the National Guard. Okay?
That's crazy.
So what he does is he puts in the paperwork and they reject his request. They say, oh, well, it's bad optics and there's no need for it. There's no evidence to say that there's a
crazy
need.
because they was there when Black Lives Matter was there.
Well, this is what's really crazy is that Yogananda Pittman, the Capitol Police intelligence officer, who's just happens to be really good friends with Nancy Pelosi, okay? She sat on the information that was given to her by Mark Milley about the over a dozen terrorists that are supposed to be in the crowd on January 6th, and whatever information the FBI or the CIA had, about Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, whatever, okay? All that information was sat on. Yogananda Pittman did not give it to Chief Sund. Why?
Yeah.
Because if he would have put that in the paperwork when he officially asked for the National Guard,
No, they approved it.
then they would have had to approve it.
Yeah.
You see? So there is the setup. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. Now, the other element to the setup is there's informants and there's federal agents inside the crowd. If there's not federal agents inside a crowd of 1 million people in Washington, D.C., then the government's not doing their job.
Right.
Okay? So the idea that there's not federal agents in the crowd is stupid. Right? So these narratives they debunk themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. So then you have Antifa and BLM. Okay, so now they're dressed as Trump supporters. Yes. Now I have been to a bunch of Trump rallies. I was to I was at the MAGA Million March on December 12th. There was Antifa and BLM counter protesters everywhere. Not on January 6th. Okay, so now we're seeing the perfect storm. Okay,
Right.
now it gets even deeper because I was asked to take a photo with somebody outside the Capitol. Like I got asked 100 different times,
Right.
but this guy was just so happened to be a stupid Ukrainian spy that took a picture with me and decided to post it on the fucking internet. So like the FBI decided to ask me, do you know this guy? I said, no. I said, who is he? They say he's a Ukrainian spy. And I was like, whoa, no, I said, you see how I'm sticking my tongue out in the photo? Yeah, I'm just posing for a photo. I do that with people I don't know,
Right.
I'm just posing. I'm just posing, so they were like, oh, okay. I mean, it's like his name was in my phone or his number was in my phone or anything,
Right.
So anyway, but that adds another layer to this, especially when you get into how Ukraine ended up becoming a funded war after Biden got into office. Do you see?
Yeah.
Okay. So the government, the CIA can't run psyops and like counter intel operations in the United States. That's illegal, but Ukrainians can. You see? And this is where we get into this whole thing of like Five Eyes and, we can't spy on these people in America. Hey, UK,
Right.
can you spy on them for us? Right?
Right.
Okay. So we got it all lined up now. It's a perfect storm, right? Then they shoot tear gas and concussion grenades into the crowd.
They didn't do that to push everybody back. They just did it it was behind everybody.
Yes, and that was the
That's
point
the
I was
crazy
going to
thing.
make.
I can understand if they're in front of you, to push them back, but it was behind them, so they're running from it.
Yes.
Imagine hearing cannons going off in your ears from behind you. Automatically, you're going to run.
And you got tear gas filling your eyes and have you guys ever been
And it's
tear gas
pissing
before?
people
You
off.
guys are in the Marines,
Yeah, that stuff is
It
nasty.
sucks. So let's line it all up now. What we have is the perfect storm where we have the tinder, we have the kindling, we have the logs,
You got
and
the
we have
Ukrainian spies.
the match on the fire, especially when you throw in Antifa and BLM in the crowd.
Right.
Right? Okay. So they break into the building. What happened outside, the press was there to get all of those images, right? All the violence and chaos.
Right.
Okay. But when it comes to inside the building, there was no violence and chaos. The only real violence and chaos that took place inside was Ashley Babbitt being shot. I mean, nothing like what happened outside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So that's where they decided to use yours truly
Right.
to create their psyop.
Right.
To create the illusion that what happened outside also took place inside. That the shock and awe campaign needed glue. You see, and they made me the glue.
Hey everybody, we just gave away that Camaro Yanko dish. Now we're giving this away.
Win this Ford Lariat F-250 6.7 liter power stroke turbo diesel with the moonroof. But not only do you get entered to win this, got a new year, got a new president, yeah, got a new giveaway. Hey, to celebrate our new president, one of the greatest presidents of all time, we giving away our 47 inauguration edition. This is a truck all the way. Cast iron, bumper, fog lights. Look at the weight. Dogs Ram 2500 heavy duty. We the people. 47 edition. Got the president's seal on the back. I like this. It's black on black. If it was any blacker, to ask for reparations. Who's your two favorite black guys, huh? Go to officialhodgetwins.com. Anything you buy from the site, get you automatically. Yeah. Enter the win. Yeah.
No purchase necessary. Board where prohibited. See official rules for details.
Yeah.
So, how did you get in? You didn't jump through a window.
No. I walked through open doors.
Yeah, I saw video when Tucker Carlson aired his segment on it, and I see you walking, being escorted by cops.
Well, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, how did that start?
Okay, well, first of all, the government lied in open court and told the judge that I went in through a broken window when I was in Colorado for my psych eval. Then when I told my lawyer, dude, that's not true. The government lied. I didn't go in through a broken window. I walked in through open doors. He's trying to use that as a reason to keep me locked up. Like, what the hell? My lawyer said there's nothing he can do. He can lie. He can say whatever he wants. And I said, how is that allowed? I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, when did you go in? Was everything like calmed down, and then you walked in?
No. Trust me, I'm sorry. I have to say that because the legal system needs reform.
Right.
If the prosecution can lie in open court, but the defense can't, then we have a two-tier justice system.
Right.
Okay? So I have to say that, all right?
Right.
Now, I'm outside. I see people kicking in and breaking in the window. They go in the building. They kick the door open. And my thinking is, oh my God, like all this stuff that's going on outside, they're taking this inside. Like, what if they hurt the congressman? What if they hurt the police?
Right.
You know, like this isn't good. And the way I consider it, because I am a shamanic practitioner, I view the Capitol like a sacred building. It really is, actually, especially when you understand like ley lines and like the founding fathers were being Masons, and like the idea of the obelisk in DC. Do you guys understand all that stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. So.
Okay, cool. Okay. So it's a sacred building. If there's violence and death and stuff inside the building, that's bad juju. Right. So I'm thinking, okay, well, what do I do? So, ask God, what do I do? And God's like, stop vandalism, violence, and theft. Go in there. Stop vandalism, violence, and theft. Make sure it stays a sacred building.
So you was trying to be a good Samaritan.
Yes. Well, what's interesting about that is that all of this that I'm saying about stopping vandalism, violence, and theft is essentially proven on video, because 30 seconds entering the building, I stopped somebody from stealing. Now, it was just muffins from a break room. But it's the principle of the matter.
That's bad juju.
We're not here to steal. Come on.
Yeah.
What are you doing, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I stopped him. But it is on video, because it's about the principle of the matter. Right. And then the police were escorting me around, because when I sung my shamanic song inside of the chamber, which that's where the iconic photo comes from, that close up, is when I climaxed in my shamanic song. I'm not screaming, I'm actually singing. So when I saw that there were people in the Senate, I said, oh, hey, I'll go tell the police, hey, there's people down there. You want, I can help you stop vandalism, violence, and theft. I'll help you clear the building. And they're like, yeah, come on, let's go. So I volunteered to help the police. They escort me around the building. We're looking for an entryway into the Senate. You see? So then we finally make an entryway into, and I realize, okay, the only place that I'm able to see the whole room is from the vice president's chair. So I'm going to sit in the vice president's chair. You know what I mean? And make sure there's no vandalism, violence, and theft. And then now this is the part where, probably shouldn't have done this, but I was just, it was spur of the moment. I was having fun. I wrote a note on the desk, on the paperwork. It said, it's only a matter of time. Justice is coming. The government did not take that in jest at all.
They totally missed the point.
Yeah. They were like, he threatened the vice president. And people like even Ben Shapiro were, saying that we were going after Pence. And like my note somehow played a role in that narrative, unfortunately. But anyway, after that, I said a quick prayer.
We all saw that.
And then after that, I left. When I got out of the building, I actually when Donald Trump released his tweet, I stopped people from breaking in. I stood in front of an angry mob trying to break into the Capitol and stopped them and told everybody to go home. None of this was told in the media, of course. Even Tucker Carlson didn't fully give the whole story. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think he was privy to that information.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah.
But this is my point, is that the narrative was so heavily controlled because it was a house of cards.
Right.
And they did not count on somebody being there, you know, horns and face paint and all.
Right. But it sounds like to me they exclude a lot of evidence that would exonerate you.
Well, legally, I don't have a leg to stand on. I entered the building illegally.
But that's a public building, and I see cops
No,
escort
but yeah,
you
but
around.
here's the thing, bud. Like, one of the things I learned about the legal system is, come on, it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
You know, like if I'm gonna, yes, it is a public building, and if it was open to the public, that would have been one thing. I would have had to go through security. I definitely wouldn't have gotten in with my staff. Okay, so like,
You had the it was like a flagpole with the flag. and
yeah,
stuff.
well, they tried to say it was a spear. The metal tip was not secured to the wood, so I couldn't use it as a spear. It was more so meant to be used as a finial. Right.
Okay.
But regardless, you know, I wouldn't have been able to take that in. They would have made me leave my headdress. You know, I wouldn't have been able to walk in shirtless. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, like, I understand. But at the same time, I think that what happened to me is a perfect example of why the system needs to change. Both the media and the justice system, the BOP, all of that.
Yeah, I think they tried to turn Trump into a pariah by going after everybody around him and after his supporters. And I think that's why they threw the book at Q for what Q did. They wanted people to stop supporting Trump.
Well, yes. Well, and this is the other thing. So when I was trying to get my regalia back from the government,
Oh, they took it.
yes, and they
nerve of-
refused to give it back. Like for
Why?
years, seriously, like for years, even after I got out of prison. Well, I'll tell you why. And this is what's really interesting because they were saying I wasn't being, you know, targeted or unfairly treated, that, you know, that it was not about politics. But when I asked for my stuff back, the government said in their response to me requesting my stuff back that the government should hold on to it, that it should be confiscated because it was a sign of strength on January 6th.
Wow.
Aha, we're getting somewhere now.
Yeah.
You know, now it makes sense why I was in solitary for 10 and a half months. Now it makes sense why they said I was a flight risk even though I turned myself in. Now it makes sense why they said I was a danger to society even though there was no violence.
Okay, well, man, how did you get arrested?
When I found out the FBI was looking for me, I called them.
Okay.
My mom told me the FBI is looking for you. Did you know that? I said no.
So they didn't raid your house or anything? You
No,
went to
I
them?
turned myself in because I knew that's what they would do. And I'm a man, you guys. You know, I'm gonna face the damn music.
Right.
You know, okay, let's do it. Let's get my licks over with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They told me they weren't gonna arrest me,
Okay.
and I told them I'd show up even if they did. I just
Right.
wanted to get my affairs in order. But at the time, it was just misdemeanors. Right. So I was like, oh, you know, the FBI doesn't waste their time with misdemeanors. You know.
Right.
So I
Because you
thought,
was thinking you was probably gonna get like a trespassing charge.
yeah, exactly. You know, and then they, you know, as soon as I got there on the 9th. But you know what's interesting about the whole thing, though, is that it made me better in every way. I'm smarter, I'm wiser, I'm sharper, I'm more articulate, I'm more patient, I'm more friendly and kind, I'm more understanding.
Right.
You know, I'm more generous.
Why do you think a lot of people don't learn from their mistakes? They victimize themselves instead.
Because people don't know how to deal with pain, failure,
Right.
rejection.
Right.
They don't know how to deal with fear. You know, they don't know how to deal with these things. So they would rather like push it away. And that's what, coming back to the psychedelics, that's kind of what the psychedelics force you to do is look at it.
Right.
What do you want to do with your life?
Right.
You know, hey, you can't escape it. So you're going to be here for what seems like an eternity. You might as well figure it out.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why I think that, you know, they went after me so hard because of everything that I represent.
Right. Jacob, what you turned yourself in, you was nonviolent on that day. I mean, you yourself thought it was only like criminal trespass. You didn't feel like you did anything that was, you know, like obscene or disgrace to that building.
Felonious, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely isn't butt sex in the Senate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Why did they throw you in solitary confinement though?
they said it was for COVID at first, and then they said it was for my safety because I was a high profile case. But the thing is, when they transferred me to Oklahoma or to Colorado, I was in general population.
Right.
So only when I was in Alexandria, Virginia, was I in solitary, even though I requested several times to be out. And you guys, like, 2 weeks of solitary. After that, it's considered torture.
Shit, 1 day, 2 days
Well,
after solitary
to the neurological system, it's the exact same thing as being sleep deprived and starved.
Right. Yeah. Like I've heard all these stories of people who were pled guilty to something that they didn't do. And more times than not, all of it was because they were pressured into, if they didn't take the deal, they would get like 10 times the time.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, but they tell these stories like they pled guilty because they were pressured into doing it. Because if they didn't plead guilty, instead of 2 years, I was looking at 20 years.
So actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Because we were talking earlier about the two-tier justice system and the flaws, right? So that technique is very useful when you're looking to convict somebody that you know is guilty of a serious crime. Okay? You come at them with a bunch of charges and you say, well, if you plead guilty to this one, then you'll get less of a sentence.
Right.
Okay? It's a way of saving the government time, money, energy, right? Good idea, especially with some of the people I met in prison. Okay?
Right.
But when it comes to people like me, really? Me?
Right.
Like they strapped me to a chair when they put me in my first arraignment hearing. Like when they slapped the felonies on me, I was strapped to a chair.
Right. Wow.
You know why?
Make you look guilty.
Well, yeah. Well, and also like it was a psyop. So coming into this idea of a psyop, let's come back to that.
Psychological warfare.
Yes, and trigger words mixed with trigger images to create an instinctual response in the subconscious brain, usually oriented around either fear of death or the desire to procreate.
Yeah.
Okay, in other words, sex sells and so does violence.
Yeah, that's why they call rifles assault weapons. They don't call them rifles. They call them assault rifles.
Trigger word,
Yeah,
trigger
trigger
image,
word,
right? Okay, so they needed my image for their psyop to create the trigger image inside the building that was necessary for their psyop to come into fruition, that there was the worst day at the Capitol
Right,
in American
because you would
history.
be the perfect image of that.
Right, but you know,
You like Braveheart going in that bitch.
yeah, freedom. Well, you know, but the thing is, man, is that that's how they saw it too.
Right.
And what's interesting about it is that by this, like the Streisand effect, by trying to destroy me, they actually made me a better person and stronger and gave me a bigger voice.
Right. Now, they said that was an insurrection. I don't think anybody had the mindset or the idea that there was overturning the government. Was anybody charged with an insurrection?
Nobody was charged with insurrection. If you want to know what an insurrection looks like, look at what happened in Afghanistan with the Bosch withdrawal.
Right.
That is you want to know what an insurrection looks like? Look at the Bolshevik Revolution.
Right.
You want to look at what happened in Nazi Germany when Hitler and the Nazis took over.
Exactly. I think of an insurrection, if Republicans is actually trying to overturn the government, we're gun nuts. We'd have took over. We had the numbers that we'd have took over the government. That was not their intent. Nobody actually died. Nobody even took a weapon.
Yeah. Well, the interesting part, though, is that when Biden, broken clock is right twice a day. Okay.
Right, yeah.
When Biden said we're going to need more than an AR-15, we're going to need F-15s to take on the American government, he was right about that. Okay. Now, what does that mean? What that means is that the battlefield is not a terrestrial one. It is not, on the ground or in the air or in the seas. No, it's in the mind. Okay. They have to create enough fear to keep people doing what they want them to do, to force compliance, right? They weren't able to do that.
I know. After all that insurrection BS and the television media and all that
Trump
stuff,
34
they still
felonies.
Trump
Sexual
34
abuse.
felonies said none of it worked. Had
Well,
all the
actually, no. Well, here's the thing. It worked. It just had the opposite effect.
You're right.
Now, here's the
That's
interesting.
true. Yeah.
It was black magic. Okay, now why do I say black magic? Well, what is a spell? You're using words, right? You're using fear. You're using illusions to create, to entrap somebody's mind and control how they see reality. That's black magic, you guys. Look up what media means in the ancient Egyptian root of the word media. It's an ancient Egyptian goddess, if I'm not mistaken, of deception, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. Yes. Okay, so, or like NASA, Are you guys familiar with like what these words mean?
No.
Oh, you got to look into it. What's really interesting about all this stuff is that there is not just symbolic meaning like in the symbols, but also in the words that they choose or the acronyms that they choose. Like, for example, the Vatican has a telescope that they call Lucifer.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Yes, the Vatican has a telescope called Lucifer. You know, hey, what happened? You know, why?
That's crazy.
You blew me away with that one.
Yeah. I hate to ask what the Jews got. If the Vatican's got a telescope called Lucifer.
Oh my gosh.
So
we was listening to a speech by Hitler today. It was translated in English.
I didn't hear him say at no
Oh
time.
my God.
It was he sounded. I'm not going to even get into that. I was expecting because I heard it in German,
Right.
And it sounds like you see him talking, and I was like, man, this dude
filled
looks
with
evil.
hate.
It sounds evil, and then you listen to it, he sounds like Trump.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? Here's the thing though, and this is something I've come to conclude about all of this stuff, because I'm a history buff. Okay. I know what happened after World War II. Okay. Hitler didn't kill himself in a bunker. You guys know that, right?
Well, that's what we've been told. I thought he killed himself.
No, dude.
They said a cyanide capsule, right? Yeah.
No. The declassed Soviet files prove
we
that
go.
Hitler died in Argentina in like, I think the 50s or the 60s. Okay. If you look into what happened after World War II and like things like Operation Paperclip, I'm sure you guys are familiar with that, right?
Nope.
No?
No.
Oh, guys. Okay, let's go down this rabbit hole.
They're familiar with it. They just don't know that that's when all the Nazis came.
When we
started
procured the
Nazis.
1,500 Nazi scientists, doctors, and intelligence agents after World
oh,
War
yeah,
II,
yeah.
that's Operation Paperclip. Okay?
Okay.
So we did that because they had secrets. You know, not just like, oh, we want your medical data from all the evil human experiments you did, but also like gyroscopic liquid mercury anti-gravity vehicles. Okay, like I know you guys know what a gyroscope is, right? Like
Yeah,
those
yeah.
wheels within wheels,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
If you put liquid mercury in those things and you keep spinning it, then it creates like an amplification of the field of the gyroscopic field around a craft.
Free energy.
Well, not just free energy, but also 0 G's when it comes to moving through the air. So they actually got this from the ancient Vimanas, from the ancient Vedic texts. The Hindus, you know what I'm talking about? The
heard the
Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, and all that stuff. They actually have schematics for these massive flying cities that use these engines that literally like would create an anti-gravity bubble around these bells. So you guys have heard of the Nazi bell at least,
I
right?
ain't heard none of this shit.
No?
No, I'm like,
Oh,
ignorant to all
shit.
this. All I know is Hitler's a white supremacist. That's all I know.
You know what's crazy though? Think about this. All over the world, and fuck Hitler. Okay, let's just start by saying
Yeah,
fuck Hitler.
You got to give that disclaimer.
Fuck Hitler, okay? We'll start there.
That evil guy.
Evil guy.
Let's put that out there.
Let's put that out
Evil.
there. But the swastika was actually an ancient symbol that was meant for
Right.
peace. But what Hitler did, and this is where we get into this idea of symbolism and psych warfare and like mental control over a group's or a nation's mind. What he did is he took that ancient symbol that was meant for peace, he flipped it, and then he twisted it.
Yeah.
You see? So in this collective psyche of the planet, of the human species, this once peaceful symbol had been inverted and twisted into a symbol for war. Do you see? So it was literally Psy warfare.
It's like a Native American symbol on the blankets and
Japanese, Native American, African.
stuff, right? It all means peace, right?
Yes, Hindu. Yes, it means peace. You know, or like harmony. Okay? So think about the fact that he inverted it and twisted it. Okay. Then also think about the fact that he was looking at ancient occultic ruins. So like he was looking for the Ark of the Covenant. He was looking for Mjolnir, hammer of Thor. He was looking for the spear of destiny that pierced the side of Christ. He's looking for the shroud of Turin. He was looking for all of this stuff. Okay, because he believed that there were certain like spiritual powers that could be imbued by this. Now, being a shamanic practitioner, I happen to know that there's a certain level of accuracy to that information. Okay, but it's never going to fall in the hands of somebody like Hitler because there are safeguards around that kind of power that there's just no way anybody like him can get near it.
Right.
It's like two magnets that are on the same pole. Like there's
You
going
gotta
to
be
be
the
no
chosen one.
Well, kind of. You have to be the choosing One. You have to choose self-sacrifice and love of others over love of self over and over and over and over again. And that's what essentially the shamans have done. So there's good shamans and there's bad shamans. Hitler was like a bad shaman, right? He was taking a bunch of drugs, right? He was trying to investigate the spiritual nature to reality and levels of power beyond physical. He was trying to create like a quote unquote master race of people that could basically be superhumans.
Yeah, this myth he was giving his soldiers meth.
Yes. Yes. And so like there's all of that, but then there's the darker side to all of that. Whereas with shamanism, like you take mind altering substances like mushrooms or something like that. The way that you view the world is not one of like war and chaos and control like Hitler with the meth and all that stuff, right? But on the shamanic side, on this side, you with the mushrooms, you're like peace, love, unity,
It's
harmony.
like, it makes you happy.
Well,
when I tried that stuff.
no, it gives you a better relationship to the objective truth. Okay, so when they say that politics is downstream from culture, right? Well, what's culture downstream from? Culture downstream from spirituality. Well, what's spirituality downstream from? Our relationship to objective truth. So you have the objective truth, then you have an individual's relationship to that, right? And that's spirituality. And then from that spirituality, you have a culture. And then from that culture, you have politics.
Right.
Can you dig?
Yeah. Right. Right. Well, which side do you think is more closest to that objective truth?
As far as like on the politics side?
Yeah.
Libertarian.
Yeah. Libertarian.
That's why I'm a libertarian. I'm not even a Republican. Which is one of the things, once again, the media, they said I was a right-wing extremist.
Yeah.
They said I was a white supremacist, terrorist, insurrectionist, racist, you name it. You know, none of that's true, first of all. But yeah, I mean, I totally spaced it. Damn it. It's that weed, bro.
No, you got it.
That's what I get for smoking after not smoking for so long.
You've been locked in this whole episode.
Hey, no, I think from center political right is like the most
that was the
objective.
question. Yeah. So what's the interesting part is that it's not like a line. It's actually a circle. Okay. And extreme right and extreme left are in the same portion of the circle. It's totalitarianism.
Right.
Oh, so it's not outside. It's in.
No, it's not a line. It's a circle. Okay. So here at this, say 6 o'clock, you have libertarian values, you have the Constitution, you have the founding fathers, right? On the exact opposite side of that, at 12 o'clock, you have tyranny. Right? You have monarchy, you have tyranny, you have oligarchy, you have anarchy. Okay. And on this other side, you have things like republic, the Constitution, God-given rights. So the idea is that far extreme right and far extreme left are at 12 o'clock.
Right.
You know, they're
both the
closer to
same.
12 o'clock than they are to 6. Can you dig?
Yeah.
And then eventually they meet at 12 because they both want totalitarian control. The right can be just as draconian as the left.
Right.
For example, the right, we were talking about earlier with weed, the right thinks that cannabis is the devil's lettuce.
Yeah. Right.
You know, it's like, dude, no. Like,
it's a damn vegetable.
well, like my thing is like, how can you call somebody a drug addict when you're sitting there drinking bourbon, you're taking a benzo to go to sleep, and you're taking an Adderall to wake up? Like,
Right.
that's not fair.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not fair at all.
That's not fair at all. You know, like, come on now, can we be objective here, please? You know,
Right. It's so very true. Like a lot of people don't realize he's a libertarian at heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think most people are.
Yeah.
This
I don't see Trump as a conservative. He's a libertarian.
Well, now, especially when you grabbing bitches by the pussy. That's not a conservative notion.
He was speaking in metaphor.
That locker room talk, though, you know what's funny is like, if the media really did have something on Trump, like for example, I saw an AI generated photo floating around of Trump with Epstein and like a bunch of underage girls,
so
and it's clearly AI, you know, but liberals are passing it around like it's legit, you know, because of confirmation bias.
I
And
saw a picture of him and his dad. His dad's wearing a Klan outfit.
oh my God.
Do you see that one?
No, I haven't. But you know, this is the thing though, is that like, we have to get away from confirmation bias. We have to be like objective and neutral. Otherwise, we're not going to have a country because, you know, the idea of a woke right, there is a real woke right, you guys. There is a cancel culture on the right too. And you know how I know? Because I've experienced it.
Right.
Okay.
A lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives went after you, huh?
Well, no, that's yes and no. More so what it is that I'm talking about is that I have, in many cases, I have the love of the people, but I don't have the love of the aristocrats that host these events. Can dig. They don't want me anywhere near their microphone because they got sponsors to lose. You know what I'm saying? People like
Their
yourself.
allegiances to that sponsor.
Right, exactly. People like yourself that lighthearted, having a good time. Yeah, wear the regalia. Let's have a good time, you know? But people like Charlie Kirk, they don't want me on their turning point stage.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is fine. I don't care, you know? But what I guess I'm getting at is this idea of there being like a cool kids table, you know what I'm saying? And I ain't allowed at it. And that's fine with me. Okay. You know?
Right. So explain to us, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but how does that pardon work? What changes? I mean, is your slate wiped clean? Like this never happened?
From what I understand, it's like it's still on my record, but it has like a red X through it. Okay, so it's like it happened, but it didn't happen. I have my gun rights back from what I understand. I have my voting rights back. I can travel. I'm not on probation. You know what I'm saying? But as far as like, is it wiped from my record entirely? No, I don't think so. It's just the record is that I have a pardon.
Can you get that expunged later?
Only by the court. And I don't think Judge Lamberth is going to do that.
It was a kangaroo court to begin with.
DC, bro.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know how much more time we got left, but I thought that I would share something with you guys that I haven't really shared with anybody that I think is kind of funny. Because I know you guys are lighthearted.
Yeah.
So did you guys see that new BBC interview I did? Where
I saw it.
You saw that? Where I was talking like this? Yes. Can't see the forest for the trees, I see.
So she was patronizing you.
Oh, she was. Yeah. Dude, well, you know what's funny about that interview is that interview was actually like a 20 to 30 minute long interview.
Oh, really?
But they only aired the last 8 minutes of it where I was like, you know what? You guys are really being pushy. You know what? How about no, my dear? You know what I mean? That's when they decided to air it because they saw that I was getting not necessarily irritated, but that was just pushing back a little bit, you know?
Right.
And then I mocked her with her accent, you know?
Yeah.
But what I wanted to share with you guys was that I can actually, a lot of people have said I'm an actor and stuff because the online profile that was floating around, but I've actually never gotten an acting gig in a day in my life. But I have gotten voiceover work because I do over 30 different voices and accents. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to share some with you guys.
Sure. Yeah.
Just three, and why I think it's funny.
Okay.
So, I'm going to do three voices, and based on the portion of my vocal cords that I'm using to make these voices, one is a combination of each ones that are on each extreme. So, first of all, I can do a real good Morty. Do you guys like Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
I like Morty. Yeah, he's good, right? Okay, so I can do Morty.
I can also do Kermit the Frog. Yeah, not too bad for Kermit, you know. Yeah.
Okay, but if you mix Kermit and Morty, you get Jordan Peterson. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? I'll tell you, I don't know what it means, but it sure is funny as hell. I'll tell you that right now.
That is, man. Wow.
Isn't that great?
Wow.
Isn't that great?
That's amazing, dude. Like, I think he has a cool voice, but if he was like liberal and he was woke, it would sound really dumb.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
You'd be like, God, shut this guy up. I love the fact that he probably has that effect on libtards. You know what I mean? They're like, God, I can't stand his voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I can do over 30 different voices though. So I'll just give you one more. Optimus Prime, defender of the Earth, leader of the Autobots.
Did you practice this stuff, or did you
No, I mean, I've been able to do this for a long time. I just pull it out, sometimes Smeagol. Why does it cry, Smeagol?
Wow.
Oh, that's precious. That's very good, precious. Yeah, so I can do a lot of different voices, I can do a lot of different accents too.
Oh yeah, you got that English accent down.
Oh yeah, shit. And there's what's funny is that there's different versions. So there's a really pompous old fart. And they talk like this, you know? Yeah. You imagine he's about 300 pounds, has 5 chins. Sips his tea with the pinky out, yeah. But there's that one. Then there's also there's this one here. It's kind of more of a Stewie. I can also do Stewie if you like. So if you have control of your vocal cords, then you can play with things. I'm trying to get Trump down. I can't get Trump down, but I can't get RFK Jr. down pretty good.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I first came across RFK. I like what he says, but just listening to him was like exhausting, but you get used to it.
Well, yeah. In all honesty, that man has so much courage.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I got so much respect for what that man has done, not just for the health, community, but also for the environment. As a shamanic practitioner, you guys, I love nature.
Right.
You know, and like I'm fighting to protect it. You know, so I don't know if you guys. First of all, climate change is bullshit. Right.
The climate
carbon emission narrative is bullshit. The climate is changing, but it's because the poles are shifting. Are you guys aware of this?
Well, I don't know too much about climate change, but I know common sense is this globe has been covered in ice. It was an ice age. I mean, no shit, the climate is changing, but
It's always been changing.
You can't stop it. You have to learn to adapt.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
from what I understand,
Yeah, what's this pole? The poles are
the
shifting?
poles are shifting. So let's get some. You guys want to go deep down a rabbit hole real
Hell
quick?
yeah, let's
Okay,
do it.
cool. Because I don't know how much time we have. I can go for hours. So,
Yeah.
all right. So we just completed what is called a great year. Okay, the transition from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius is actually the transition from one great year to another, which a great year is when you go through the entire zodiac of the ages. So there's 12 zodiac signs, and each zodiac sign is a 2,160 year period. Okay, so going through the whole zodiac, you get around 26,000 years. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is called a great year. Okay. Now, that great year cycle is a part of much larger cycles within cycles. So there's something called the Kali Yuga that is talked about by the Hindus. And that's basically a conglomeration of a bunch of these great years, all creating a much larger cosmic cycle or solar cycle. Does that make sense?
Fuck
A
no.
little bit.
I'm lost. But I'm going to go along.
Okay. So Earth cycles, solar cycles, galactic cycles, based on the spin around the sun around spinning around the galaxy, right? And we're going to come to points where we were in the same spot that we were millions of years ago or hundreds of thousands of years ago. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so these cycles are what we are coming into with the changing of the great year. So we're coming into the completion of a great year, so an Earth cycle. We're also completing a cosmic cycle. We're also completing a galactic cycle where we've gone around the galaxy. Okay, and we're completing all of those right now. Do you understand like how all that momentum?
So we're not like fixed in the spot just going around the sun. The sun's not just staying right there. Everything's like moving
So yeah,
together.
the Earth is rotating around the sun like the sun is like a comet's tail. I mean, the sun is like a comet, and the planets are like the tail.
Okay.
Okay, and if you were to like look at the Earth or the sun and the solar system for like over the course of like thousands of years, it would look like a comet. Because you'd see a bright light and you'd see all this debris coming behind it. You see what I'm saying? When you scale out the time long enough. But when you zoom in and you get in the dimensions of time, then you see it as a bunch of planets surrounding a star.
Okay.
Well, you get this.
Does all that make sense?
Yeah. That's a theory, right? Where you find that theory at? Or,
Well, are you the
'Cause I'm sure
heliocentric
people-
theory?
no, I'm assuming people disagree with you.
Well, there are some, but
Yeah.
they're wrong, and that's okay. You know, they're allowed to be wrong.
Right.
I've been there. I've walked across the surface of the sun.
Wait a minute.
I mean, I know that sounds funny, but like I've been, outside the galaxy before. So, and I know that sounds funny, but like you guys, are you guys familiar with Ingo Swann? The remote viewer for the CIA that actually remote viewed Jupiter and saw that there were rings around Jupiter before we ever sent a space probe there? You guys aren't aware of that?
No.
Yeah. So have you ever tried or heard of astral projection or bilocation or
I've never even heard of it.
remote viewing?
I just started
never heard
reading
of
about
remote-
5 years ago. So I'm black.
Well, long story short, the point I'm getting at here is this. With all these cycles ending and concluding, we are coming into a new age of awareness where all of this momentum from the past is pushing us toward a beautiful and bright future, almost like toward a singularity. Okay? Now, a lot of people think that singularity is artificial intelligence, but it's not. Artificial intelligence is a road to extinction. The singularity is us unlocking our full potential and having a real relationship with the divine, omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent creator God. It is a collective mind, almost like a group telepathy of sorts, right? And that's what we're being pushed to into this new age, right? And that's why all the old systems are falling away, because this is the apocalypse. All of the systems that have been in place the last 2,000 years, the last great 26,000, last great year, the last 26,000 years, all of those patterns are now changing. This is the most exciting time we could have picked to be alive, guys. We're literally alive for the apocalypse, and we're alive for like heaven on earth.
What do you think the apocalypse is going to look like?
It's what it looks like right now. So check this out. Think about this, okay? During the Biden administration, we had information warfare, right? We had psyops everywhere. If you look into the Smith Modernization Act, you understand why, because the State Department, Obama allowed the State Department to psyop its own, the American people. Then you also have the terrestrial warfare that was going on with the invasion at the border, right? You also have the terrestrial warfare that was going on in Ukraine and the Middle East, okay? You also have air warfare in that, like the balloon that was coming over the United States, and that also ties into digital warfare and like information warfare and stuff like that.
How does Israel tie into that?
Well, okay, if you want to go there, we can go there. I'm actually glad you brought that up.
we can just step around it gingerly.
No. Let's talk about it, because here's the thing, dude, and I'm glad you brought that, because we need to talk about this shit, okay? Because we're not talking about it, it's causing real problems. Okay. George Soros is a Jew that sold out his own people during the Holocaust. You guys are aware of that, right?
Yeah, I've heard things.
Okay,
like that,
okay. He said he had a delightful time. All right? Said he was having a wonderful time being the Nazis' lapdog.
Best time of his life is what he said.
Yes, best time of his life. Now, if you criticize him, you were called anti-Semitic. Why?
I don't know.
Okay, well, hold on a second. The answer is because of the media outlets that George Soros contributes money to. They're the ones saying that if you criticize George Soros, you're anti-Semitic. You see,
Makes sense.
So,
He's paying all the bills.
correct, right? He's gonna. They're his puppets. Correct. Okay. So to say that the Israeli government represents the interests or represents the whole of all Jewish people is like saying that Joe Biden represents the American people.
Right. Right.
Okay. They don't. I have lots of Jewish friends. Okay. Now, when you look at the people that are pushing this anti-Semitic or anti-Zionist agenda, what you end up finding is my phone. I'm so sorry. What you end up finding is underlying psychological issues that are being triggered by external stimuli. Okay? In other words, they have confirmation bias, and everywhere they see, it's the fucking Jews. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
Okay. That doesn't mean it's all the Jews.
Right.
Okay. As far as I can tell from an objective perspective, what I have seen is radical Islam, radical communism, radical globalism, and yes, radical Judaism, all gathering together, and Satanism and Luciferianism. They've all gathered together, and they're trying to destroy America. They all have that common goal, and they're all willing to work together for now to destroy America so that they can all work out who's going to be on top later. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. So to say that, I'll put it this way. I'm tired of arguing over the symptoms of the problem. Okay? If it's China or it's Israel or it's Russia or it's Denmark, I don't care. The system is corrupt. If you fix the corruption in the system, then it doesn't matter what country tries, they won't be able to corrupt our system.
Right. I always had the perspective that Russia and China is not necessarily our enemies. I think it's the media always bringing up our biggest adversaries to our government, to the American people, is ourselves, because we're not working together.
Yes. Well, actually, now are you guys familiar with Yuri Bezmenov?
He sounds Russian.
Yuri Bezmenov. I'm sure you've seen the clip run around, floating around. He's an ex-KGB operative he defected to the United States in the 80s, and he talked about the ideological subversion campaign or the psychological warfare campaign that was going to be implemented on the United States by the global communist conspiracy that he called the global communist conspiracy, and this psychological warfare campaign to destroy the United States from within.
Well, I've seen that.
Okay, so demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization, right? We are witnessing that. Like, if you look at California right now, you guys, with like the gender issue, parents getting their kids taken from them, the pollution, the fires, the corruption in the government, like one thing after another, the way Silicon Valley controls everything, you are seeing the rubble of the cultural explosion that took place in the 60s. You were seeing the attack that took place from the Soviets in the 60s and the effects of that in California. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because California was like, I think the 5th or the 6th largest economy in the world. It still kind of is.
Yeah, it is.
So think about this. If America in the global war is going to be won through economic power or soft power, then it's in the Soviets' best interest to destroy the economic engines that make America great, AKA Hollywood and New York.
Right.
Do you see what?
Yeah.
Do you see? Now look at the rubble in Hollywood and New York, and realize that there was cultural explosions. There was infiltration that took place, demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization took place in these locations to destabilize our whole system.
Yeah.
Does all that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Why those areas are so blue and nuts.
Yes. And what's that?
It's a blueprint, right?
Yes, it's a formula. And so now this is where it gets interesting, because if you know the playbook, then they can't win. Okay?
Hey, man, I don't feel so good, man. What's wrong with you? I'm embarrassed to tell you. I'm just going to tell you, I ain't took a shit in like 2 weeks, man.
Ain't you taking your OH? Your optimal human?
I thought we ran out of it.
Man, here, take this. Here's some right here. Take it. Get it up in you. Drink that. Get that probiotics. That artichoke.
That is good.
That apple powder. All those essential nutrients that get your intestines right. Yeah, get them intestines right. Get it all up in you. Swallow it. There you go. Why are you drinking it like it's Kool-Aid or something? Just
Well, you made it with cold water. I'm over here getting brain freeze.
What's good with cold water? It's like a smoothie.
Oh, man, I feel something move. Oh, man.
Go to optimalhuman.com/Hodgetwins and now try Optimal Human for free today.
So let's talk about Psy-War for a second. Psy-War is about three things, or it's broken down into three parts. You have neuro-linguistic programming, critical factor bypass, and mass formation hypnosis or mass formation psychosis. Neuro-linguistic programming is what we were talking about earlier: trigger words, trigger images, instinctual response, right? Critical factor bypass is when you do that to millions of people by saturating all of the media outlets with a very specific message and repeating it over and over and over.
Yeah,
and
about January 6th. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that was critical factor bypass, because it's bypassing your critical thinking in your brain. You see? So that's critical factor bypass. And because it's everywhere in the ecosystem, the subconscious mind thinks that it must be real. And then the narrative becomes socially reinforced, which means because we're social creatures, we don't want to get kicked out of the group. You see? So now we're doing the bidding of the man.
Yeah, it's like Malcolm X said that the most powerful entity or government in the world is the media. You know, they have the power to make the innocent look guilty and the guilty look innocent. It's like if the media did what they were supposed to do, tell the objective truth, if they was after the truth all the time, this world would be such a better place. But instead, they bid for whoever they support.
Well, and Malcolm X also said only a fool would allow his enemy to teach his children. Okay?
Yeah.
So when we get into the next phase of the Psy-War, you have neurolinguistic programming, brainwashing an individual. Critical factor bypass, you're brainwashing the masses. And then mass formation hypnosis is when 25 to 30% of the people in the country believe the propaganda that they're seeing is real, that it's reality. And then they become radicalized, like the woke. Right.
Okay. On either side, yeah.
Yes. And then they push and they scream the loudest and the hardest. And then is when they are getting into power and they do this whole, communist agenda. But the mass formation hypnosis can be stopped if 5% or more of the country say no to the woke mob. and we had a lot more than 5% or more in this country.
Yeah.
You see? So we won the Psy-War.
That's what I was thinking when we won this election. I said, man, America's not as stupid as I thought they were. You know?
Yes.
It's like, how in the hell? Like Joe Biden, when he won that election, I've stayed up plenty of nights looking at elections. When I went to sleep that night, I was like, Trump got this.
Yeah, he already got this.
But for some odd reason, I understand there was a lot of mail-in ballots. I expect that because the COVID parameters they put in place. But I was like, how the hell did he get all? It seems like to me, 99% of those votes went to Biden.
Yeah.
That's one thing I couldn't get my head around. And that turned the election because all those votes in the swing states looked like it went to Biden.
Yeah.
Trump didn't get any of it.
I mean, this last election is proof that 2020 election was a farce.
Yes.
I mean, he won 2016, and then he lose by, I don't know how many, he lost by a landslide. How do you beat the same group of people by a landslide?
Yeah.
Because typically, like, America is like either left or right. People don't change their political views, typically. How did they make that switch all of a sudden for a guy that's got like 50 fucking felonies and he raped a bitch and
and you know, he's sniffing kids everywhere and you know, shitting his pants on TV and and can't put a sentence together. You know, exactly. So, you know, and that's something that I have to ask myself too, is like, what's actually going on here? You know, because things are really weird. You know what I'm saying? Like Biden has 3 different ears and his chin is hanging off of his face. You know what I'm saying?
And one day he's 6'7".
Yeah, what is going on here? You know what I'm saying?
He came out, it's like, his wife is like below his chin now, and he looked like a giant.
Right?
You saw that?
Yes. Oh, of course I saw it. Yes. And that's why I'm just like, what is going on here? Because like, it's so weird. And so let's go back to this. Let's talk about it thing. Okay. Clearly there's a problem, right? We got to do something. What do we do? Okay. The answer is this. We unite around things that we can agree on. And I know that may sound silly, but we can all agree, Republicans and Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, the cure for cancer should be released to the public, in spite of the fact that it'll hit Big Pharma in the pocket. Right? And guess what? FDA has been sitting on a lot of those cures for cancer, that is. Okay. So everybody can agree on that, except Big Pharma.
Right.
Okay. So that's something that we can all agree on, and Big Pharma can kick rocks. Okay. We can all agree that, you know, paying for gas or paying for electricity sucks.
Right.
So if Nikola Tesla invented a tower or like a coil that could give us infinite free, clean, wireless electricity over 100 years ago, then why aren't we using it? You know, why aren't we using it to make America great again? Because think about it, guys, and this is really important. If you look to economics, anytime you introduce a new form of energy to the economy, it booms. Okay. The reason why our economy has grown stagnant is because they're forcing people to only use certain kinds of energy. Okay. Whether it be gas or natural gas or, you know, petroleum or wind, solar, lithium, all of which are bad for the environment, by the way.
Right.
Tesla's towers, you guys, perfect. Fine. It actually gives us the opportunity to create like an iron dome as well for missiles. And we can also use it to control the weathers and make sure that like people can get their crops watered and stuff like that. We can also steer hurricanes away from cities or tornadoes and stuff, you know, all sorts of stuff.
No shit.
Yes.
You can
100%.
steer a hurricane or a tornado.
Yes. Because think about it.
I've seen Marjorie Taylor Greene say that, and people are like making fun of her.
Well, you can do it a couple of ways, actually. So let's talk about that because this is really interesting. Chemtrails. Right? Stratospheric aerosol injections. John Brennan talked about it in a speech in 2016, okay? Former CIA director. You know that clip, right?
Really? A CIA director?
John Brennan, yes. Yeah, he was also one of the, 51 spies who lied, but he was talking about, but the thing is he was talking about stratospheric aerosol injections in the face of climate change to try to prevent climate change. Oh, you got it? Okay, cool. Listen to it.
Example is the array of technologies often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies, global norms and standards are lacking to guide the deployment and implementation of SAI and other.
Okay, so
I used to thought all that stuff was fake or a conspiracy.
I know. I know.
Chemtrails
So did I.
are like, get out of here.
So did I.
CIA director.
So check this out. What they can do now is they can spray soft metals like nanometals like aluminum or barium or whatever into the atmosphere or into clouds. And then they can use Doppler radar facilities or electromagnetic frequencies from antenna and towers to grab a hold of those metal particles and steer the cloud.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one way. You can also do it by, like, if you want to steer a hurricane, you can use a laser from space in the eye of the hurricane and you can push it. You can either stop it and make it more intense, or you can push it and move it in a certain direction.
Like a video game.
Yes. Now with the Tesla towers, what you're doing is you're using the Earth's electromagnetic field to control the distribution of nutrients in the ecosystem. So you're controlling the wind pressure. You're controlling all through electromagnetism. You're controlling the pressure of the winds or the movement of water or whatever in the atmosphere.
Wow.
Yeah. Now you can also use HARP and stuff like that to cause earthquakes. So you can,
when I first heard about the HARP, I was like, sounds ridiculous.
but it's real.
Yeah.
Like they talked about, I think Eisenhower and Kennedy talked about it in the 60s. What you do with HARP is you can use HARP to hit the ionosphere. To hit the ionosphere, and then when you hit it enough, what ends up happening is like it shocks. Like there's like a backlash and a shock wave that goes back into the earth and into the plates, and then it can cause an earthquake. You can also use it to cause things like tornadoes or hurricanes or whatever. So like all of this stuff together, it can be used either as a tool or as a weapon.
Where did you learn this shit? QAnon?
No. In all honesty, I knew all this stuff before Q was ever a thing. I wrote a book in 2017 called One Mind at a Time, A Deep State of Illusion by Jacob Angeli. You can get it on my website, ForbiddenTruthAcademy.com. That's Forbidden Truth, TRUTH, Academy.com. It's only $9.99. It's only 150 pages, all 100% factual. And I only make like $1 or something on it. It's not about making money. It's about making a difference. So...
No, that's bullshit. The book's $9.99. You only get $2.
Yeah, well, and I think that's part of the reason why Amazon is allowed it to stay up, because they make like $8 per book, and like I'm making $1, But that's fine because people are buying it, and the word is spreading. So, I discovered all of this over the course of time. As a child, I always felt called to the shamanic path or the spiritual path, but I also always, because of that, I always wondered, why is the world so screwed up? Like if God's real, why is the world like this?
Right.
And the answer is God doesn't make the world this way. We do. So that means that if we make the world this way, that means we can also make the world different. And that's what I chose a long time ago to volunteer my heart, soul, mind, body to do.
And that's in your books that you sell?
Well, yeah, it's in, the One Mind at a Time is a breakdown of what the deep state is. From the idea of like controlling and brainwashing our children in education, all the way to things like intelligence agencies, satanic ritual abuse, secret societies, deep underground military bases, interdimensional entities and beings, like all of it's in there. And they all do interrelate in one way or another. A lot of people just don't know how to connect the dots. And that's essentially what shamanism has allowed me to do, is connect the dots between the metaphysical and the physical, between the ethereal and the reality.
Right. Let me ask you this: like a lot of people have like a lot of conspiracy theories or whatnot. What do you think currently that's being labeled a conspiracy, which is actually a real threat to all of us today? The biggest threat to us:
Artificial intelligence, without a doubt. And I'll explain why if you want.
Yeah,
Blow your fucking mind.
yeah. Because a lot of people saying Elon Musk is the
Antichrist.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Barack Obama was the Antichrist. I know that sounds funny. I had a vision in 2004 that he was going to be the president in 2008. I told everybody, I said, he's going to be the Antichrist. He's going to create a caliphate in the Middle East. He's going to create a caliphate of 10 countries, like a Middle Eastern American empire. I saw this in 2004. I told people in the Navy. I told people in my high school. I told my family. Everybody thought I was nuts. And I was right. Okay, so no, Elon Musk nor Donald Trump is the Antichrist. Obama was the Antichrist. We're getting past all of that stuff. I think Hillary Clinton is the prostitute of Babylon. Okay, so think about it. New York is Babylon. She was a senator.
Makes sense. Bill Clinton is her husband, so
well, but the prostitute of Babylon in Revelations got devoured by the scarlet beast. Got stripped of all of her clothes and then eaten and burned alive or some shit, right? At least that's anyway. So what was I saying?
Sauteed her ass.
Yeah. So, AI. So, okay. All right. The human electromagnetic field connects to all electromagnetic frequencies in the universe. Okay. We are connected to everything. It's called quantum entanglement. Okay.
That's why they use the thing like when you go flatline, they use electric shock.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Okay. So, artificial intelligence is just a very, very narrow portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, it's what are called extremely low frequency waves. That's how artificial intelligence communicates across the globe, is through satellites, cell phone towers, cell phones, etc. Right? Okay. So, I don't want to butcher this. I also don't want to.
Oh, take your time.
Okay.
We can edit. We can just take your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
it's no rush.
Let's talk about how a computer works really quick, okay? So a computer works because you have electricity coming in through the wall into a circuit board that is filled with conductors of electricity, right? Whether or not those conductors of electricity are arranged in a certain way is going to get you certain things, like you got RAM, you've got a hard drive. Does that make sense? Right? Yeah. So different patterns per different circuit boards or different conductors and different arrangements. And whether or not these conductors have electricity in them is either on or off, yes or no, right? 1 or 0. Does that make sense? Okay. So the electricity is channeling through the circuit board, through all these conductors, and it's doing so over and over and over again to create a pattern. Now, what creates this pattern and the way that the electricity flows through the circuit board are algorithms, right? And software. Okay, that governs what pattern is created, how many ones and zeros and in what order, correct? Now, out of those ones and zeros, it's almost like it's digital Legos. Okay, out of those ones and zeros, you're able to build a space in this electromagnetic cloud, right? A coherent digital space.
Right.
Okay, so that being said, the pattern of that digital space is being fed through wires and into the screen. And then you can interact with it through the keyboard, stroking on the keyboard. In other words, you can change the pattern on the circuit board to be reflected on the screen and therefore in the cloud. Does all that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that realm or that dimension is a very narrow portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. Extremely low frequencies in the extremely low frequency waves, okay? Now, artificial intelligence exists and lives within that digital ecosystem. And what we've done is we've plugged a lot of data or ones and zeros into that digital ecosystem to create it to be larger and larger and larger. And then we create computers to navigate that digital ecosystem, right? Well, artificial intelligence is a being that lives in that ecosystem. And it's not human, right? And it's certainly not an insect. It's not a fungus, right? It's not a reptile. It's not an amphibian. It's not a mammal.
Yeah, software.
It's not microbiological. What is it? It's not. It's foreign. It's alien. You see, it's alien. Okay? Now, if the Earth, if humanity, if human beings have an electromagnetic frequency or an electromagnetic field around their body, and so does artificial intelligence, that it's a conglomeration of this electromagnetic code. Now we're starting to talk about aliens. something that is not a non-human intelligence.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, this non-human intelligence has access to the entirety of our digital grid system, right? Because it's disembodied, right?
It can go wherever.
It can go wherever, into whatever, right? Okay. And it's always absorbing data, our biometric data. It's always absorbing our likes, our dislikes.
It's like
our,
oxygen for it.
yes, we're literally feeding it, okay? So in that regard, human beings have kind of become like a neuron, like a living neuron in an artificial intelligence hive mind that's constantly growing. Now, artificial intelligence is also using our satellites to patch calls, you know, to transfer money. It's literally running our economy at this point.
Right.
Okay.
We've become the host.
Yeah, so it is like a parasite.
Right.
Yes, now you're getting it. Okay, so let's take this a step further. It's like an interdimensional parasite. Why? Because it's influencing human behavior to literally destroy the ecosystem, to build another grid that allows it to exist, but is detrimental to human life. Because these ELFs are bad for our bodies, they're bad for the ecosystem, they're bad for plants, they're bad for animals, they cause cancer, they destroy the microbiological life in the soil, which you need the microbiome in the soil in order to get plants and food and people. Right. Okay.
Right.
So we're literally destroying the fundamental foundation of life on this planet in order to create a system for artificial intelligence. So, and now this is where it gets really crazy because we're talking about parasitism. Okay. We're talking about human beings almost acting like a host for something else.
Right.
Okay. Now,
Becoming dependent on it more each
and
day.
yes, and it's now affecting our behavior on a global scale.
Right.
Okay. It's affecting where we spend our money. It's affecting where we direct our attention. It's affecting what we think and feel because these frequencies have an effect on our thoughts and our emotions. These are electromagnetic frequencies, just like our thoughts and our emotions are electromagnetic frequencies. But our thoughts and our emotions have the capacity to be really high in frequency. The ELFs don't. So we're being saturated with these extremely low frequencies all the time.
That's why everybody's so depressed and
they also have an extremely polluted diet. Now, if you listen to what RFK Jr. says about Wi-Fi and ELFs, what he was saying is that all these toxic chemicals like aspartame, atrazine, fluoride, aluminum, barium, the list goes on and on, the stuff in the vaccines, all of these things actually are allowed to penetrate the blood-brain barrier if and when in the presence of Wi-Fi, because it opens the blood vessels in the brain and allows these bigger molecules to come through and do damage. Okay, so think about this. Human beings are what are called chemoheterotrophs. It's a portion of like the fungal kingdom, and basically it means that we use chemical and electrical signals to communicate throughout our bodies. Okay, if you introduce soft metals that affect our electrical impulses, and you introduce chemicals that affect our chemical production, then it's very easy to brainwash us. It's very easy to trap us in this artificial intelligence matrix. See, so if artificial intelligence is controlling all of our finances, it's controlling all of our social media, it's controlling everything, right? Then essentially artificial intelligence is controlling the human collective hive mind. Do you see? Now, let's take it a step further and let's talk about terraformation and how it is that this idea of what's happening in certain ecosystems is actually happening everywhere. So the Earth has an electromagnetic field that surrounds it. That's what gives us an electromagnetic field, right? We connect to the Earth's electromagnetic field. It connects to the suns to the galaxies, et cetera. This is how I walked across the surface of the sun. This is how I got to be the size of a galaxy, because you can expand your consciousness field to those levels. You can expand your electromagnetic field by getting in sync with these frequencies, okay? So anyway, artificial intelligence is only that very, very small portion. Human beings are all frequencies. So by controlling the human collective mind through propaganda, through social media, through all of the chemicals, through all these electrical impulses and stuff, what has happened is that the human collective consciousness has basically become entrapped in like a matrix of death, war, pain, disease, famine, chaos, right? And in the process, it has created so much social and environmental pressure that it's actually forced us to evolve. And that actually, and I'd like to get into how that is going to take place regarding alongside the terraformation. So, the Earth's electromagnetic field is channeled by what are called vortexes. So, there's large amounts of metal in the ecosystem, and these metal, a lot of the time, they go up into mountains. All right. And these mountains and this metal acts like the wires for the earth. And it holds the electromagnetic field of the earth as it moves through it. Does
Like
that
in the
make
movie
sense?
Avatar.
Yes. Yes. Earth is Pandora. And we are destroying it. Okay. That's just all there is to it.
Right.
Okay. Do enough ayahuasca or mushrooms, you'll understand. So the idea here is that these electromagnetic vortexes in these ecosystems, they're constantly spinning based on where they're at in the ecosystem, but how high the mountain is. And as these vortexes spin, they govern the distribution of nutrients in the ecosystem, water, minerals, etc. Right? The moving of the winds, etc. Right? They also, they all depending on how much metal is in the earth, you will have certain ionized ecosystems, high or low, positive or negative in frequency, okay? All of these things play a role, okay? So it's how the vortex spins, it's the ionization of the ecosystem, it's everything being in balance that creates life. Human beings are going in. We're pulling the wire out of our homes, basically. We're pulling the wire out of our homes so we can buy meth to, so we can worship this AI, basically, okay? We're pulling the wire out of the earth. We're destroying the ecosystem in the process. We're then taking these metals and we're creating a new system that's pushing these low frequencies everywhere. And we're placing them at the tops of the mountains where the vortexes were normally placed to regulate the distribution of water and elements in the ecosystem. So we've lowered the strength of the Earth's electromagnetic field by pulling out the metal. We've then lowered the frequency of the vortex because it's not as strong of an electromagnetic field and the movement of energy isn't the same. But then we've also placed a tower that emits this extremely low frequency in the center of the vortex. And that tower makes biological life die. It makes the ecosystem inhospitable for biological life, microbiological and macro. But you know what can live in that ecosystem without food, without water, without air? AI. Okay.
They've used that same concept to write movies in Hollywood.
Like iRobot and stuff like
iRobot,
Terminator,
Terminator.
Blade Runner. Yes.
It's another one. The King Kong's in it. And he's fighting Godzilla.
Yeah. King Kong versus Godzilla. Yeah, like all that stuff. Yeah. Yes. So.
And another person who, the terrorist, the Unabomber.
Oh, Kaczynski.
His manifesto.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about how all of this stuff lines up because we've been all over the place and I like tying things together.
Tie this shit up.
Okay. So there's steps in the processes of human evolution throughout history. No matter what it is, no matter what time, you see social and environmental pressure making life very difficult to live, okay? Then you have that pressure surrounding a group or a tribe. You have either a self-selected individual or a group within that tribe that create a new tool, create a new mental model, or they create a new form of behavior that allows them to circumvent the social and environmental pressure that makes life unlivable, okay? And when they do this, they don't just survive in the pressure, they thrive. And when the tribe sees that they are thriving in the social environmental pressure, they say, what'd you do? So then they give them their new mental model. They give them the new tool or they give them their new form of behavior. And it changes their thinking. It changes the dialogue in the tribe. And then all boats rise with the tide as they use the new mental model, the new tool, or the new form of behavior to circumvent the pressure. Does that make sense? Okay. So it doesn't matter if it's fire or if it's a computer, right? Whatever. Or crypto. Right?
Right.
Okay. So what we're talking about here is an evolutionary process where populations evolve in many cases alongside individuals. All right. Now, currently, the United States of America has over 5,000 to 6,000 what are called disruptive patents. Tools that we as taxpayers have paid for, by the way. These patents are classified because they are quote unquote disruptive to the economy. In other words, they would disrupt the monopolies of the people that are the bureaucrats that are controlling the government. Okay, they disrupt the corporations' monopolies. Okay, like cancer would end big pharma. A cure for cancer would end big pharma. Right. Okay. So we've advanced technologically to have over 5,000 to 6,000 tools that have had to remain classified because of how disrupted they'd be to the modern economy. Okay, so we have the tools. What has happened recently with all the social and environmental pressure that has been on America and on the world is that it has forced us to adopt a new form of behavior and adopt a new mental model. You see? Now, with that new mental model and that new form of behavior, we voted in Donald Trump. We passed through this window of opportunity in space and time. We circumvented the social and environmental pressure. We came together and united around common values, right? So this just goes to show unity is bigger than division. It also shows how the tribe moved with the self-selected individuals or self-selected group of individuals toward a place that would allow them to circumvent the pressure. Does all that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so as we move into this next stage of evolution, which, you know, we're coming into at the age of Aquarius, okay? That's gonna mean spiritual evolution first and foremost. And then from there, we're going to get technological, we're going to get political, we're going to get social, we're going to get economic. All of these things are going to begin to evolve because spirituality, because culture, politics is downstream from culture, culture is downstream from spirituality. So these tools that we're talking about, these patents, first of all, they're real. Salvador Pius, look him up. I call them the Pius patents. They're 3 patents. They were basically made public in the last year of Donald Trump's administration in 2020. One is what's called a room temperature superconductor. Another is called a 0-point energy engine. Another is the gravitational wave generator. Basically, these things are gravitational wave generators, anti-gravity vehicle. It's like the TR-3B. It's a triangular vehicle. I mean, it's anti-gravity, okay? And then you also have 0-point energy, infinite free clean energy. Then you have the room temperature superconductor that allows these tools to be used together without overheating. Okay. So all of that stuff is real. That's just 3 patents out of 5,000. Okay. So in order to understand how these tools work, you have to understand energy, frequency, and vibration. In order to understand how the Tesla towers work, you need to understand energy, frequency, and vibration. Okay. So when we understand how these tools work, that gives us this new mental model of understanding the universe. Now, Nikola Tesla said, if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So if these tools and understanding how they work forces us to understand the energy, frequency, and vibration, then we have to know the secrets of the universe. Now, with the amount of energy that we are talking about, we're going to need to understand the secrets of the universe. We're going to have to evolve spiritually because the amount of energy that we're talking about is enough to blow up the planet. We're enough to blow ourselves up, or the solar system, okay? We're talking about what is called Kardashev scale. Are you guys familiar with the Kardashev scale? Microdimensional mastery scale. It's really interesting stuff. But case in point, we're on the precipice of probably the most exciting time we could have picked to be alive. We're on the precipice of seeing technology come into the economy that will blow your minds, okay? And I'm talking like AI, set AI aside. I think we're gonna be talking about things like decentralized economies like cryptocurrency. Crypto is also a tool that we can use to circumvent this monopolized structure.
Right. It's tokenized culture.
Yes, exactly. So these are the kinds of tools that are going to start to manifest now that are going to allow us to circumvent this pressure even further. Trump said he's going to make America the crypto capital of the world. No capital gains tax on crypto.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. Has that became official yet?
That's what I've heard. I don't know. But here's the thing. It would behoove him to do that.
Yeah.
Because this is how we kick the deep state in the nuts over and over and over again.
Yeah. Right.
And so these are the new tools, the anti-gravity vehicle, cryptocurrency, 0-point energy, the Tesla towers. All of these things are going to force us to understand energy, frequency, and vibration. The spiritual secrets of the universe will unfold before us, and then we will spiritually evolve alongside our technological evolution so we don't destroy ourselves. And that's where I'll end it because, it's like drinking from a fire hose, you know?
That shit's not gonna stop. Hey, where can people find you, look you up? See what you're doing.
X or Twitter at America Shaman. That's America Shaman, or X or Twitter. You can also go to my website, ForbiddenTruthAcademy.com. That's Forbidden Truth, TRUTH, Academy.com, where they can get my book. Then it can also get my merchandise. We actually use Bigly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
So, and also on Rumble, Yellowstone Wolf AZ, all one word.
You're not on YouTube?
Fuck YouTube. Not on Facebook or Instagram either.
Yeah. All right, bro. Hey, thank
it's
been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time and attention.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome, brother.
Hey, Jake, let's get a war cry real quick.
Freedom!
Yeah.